here. Just let me know what the temperature is, what you got in your pocket, man. We are here with Jared from Neeves Knives. Just like a quick, man, we both got stuff going on, but we said we take a quick break, a coffee break, talk some EDC news, talk about some knives and whatever else, man. So what you got going on over there right now?
Right now, I'm just doing some sharpening. I got
Right.
some stuff I got to film and edit. Right now in the pocket, I got the Giant Mouse Jutland. I love this
Okay.
one. It's got Elmax steel with beautiful micarta. I think Giant Mouse does some of the best micarta you can get. I'm not positive, but I'm not sure if it's USA micarta, but I'm pretty sure it is. But anyways, yeah, just a super snappy knife, really good action, just good all the way around. And then I'm sharpening. I got a chef knife here, and then I also got a folding knife, freehand sharpening.
So I got one of my chef knives, man. It's just like completely shitty. Like it's been through it shouldn't have, it went through the dishwasher twice, started to rust. So it lets me know it's a carbon steel. That's a good thing because I think what stainless steel normally wouldn't go through that. But I guess for me personally, hey, what up, Simplify? Thanks for kicking it in, man. Palmer is here as well. Stay angry, lightning bolt. What up, y'all? But I guess for me, it's just kind of like I have a whole sharpening system which I need to utilize more often, and for the sharpening of it. And what a lot of times is my wife just ends up saying, "Well, let's just buy another one. Let's just grab another one." Yeah, so
Just buy another knife.
yeah, exactly. Even though this system cost us like $200,
Right,
but
exactly.
it says don't use 3-in-1, bro. Hey, I feel you. I feel you. It's, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing: is like, so in my pocket, only thing I've had in my pocket so far today has been my Leatherman Free P4 because I've been walking around the house doing random tasks. But my actual EDC is kind of like right here. It lives in this area right here. And then I'll just come and grab it whenever I need it, which is my Hogue Deca right now. This is
Yep.
the Hogue that I was the D10 was giving me issues initially. It's a lot better now. But when I first got it, I was having a lot of issues with this thing actioning how I wanted to. It is like 1,000 times better, especially taking your advice and just actually putting pressure on it as you open it and just open it over and over and over again. It's like a million times better.
When I
Like a
switched
million
my
times better.
scale, when I switched my scales to the original goat scales, the aluminum ones, it
Yeah.
massively changed that knife. Like it's basically a whole different knife. One, I had play with my original one. Once I got the
Yeah.
scales, it's rock solid, extremely smooth. There's no flex, so when I'm squeezing on it, I don't have it flexing at all because the point of the deck is it's supposed to be an extremely lightweight knife. But when you put the aluminum scales, it just gets more solid with barely making the weight go up. So it's still very light. He was talking about the 3-in-1. What I like to use is I got the KPL knife shield. This
Right.
stuff's pretty
Yep.
cool. And then the Camella knife oil to coat the knives. And then for my pivot, I use KPL. That's what I use. But I
So I
don't think
don't.
there's anything wrong with somebody using 3-in-1 if you're on that budget.
So right now for my pivot, all I throw on there is 3-in-1, which I guess I should probably think about getting different compounds of oil. And so I don't know, man. A lot of times I just go for like the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
and that normally
I
ends up
still have
just
three in
me.
one. I have 3-in-1 sitting right here. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I used for a long time. But however, I do understand what they're saying because once you switch to like a purpose driven oil, like say the stuff from KPL, you never go back.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Okay, so first off, Bentley, thanks for kicking the door in. Palmer, it says, I like the Deca, but I'm a sucker for the bug out. Okay, well, me personally, if I had to choose between the Deca, the bug out, or the bailout, because of the modified warning, I would probably go with the Deca or the bailout. I don't know. It's tough.
I love the bailout, man. I don't even own one, but I'd probably go with the bailout. Between the
Hmm.
Deca and the bug out, I'd go Deca only because the price is way better and their steel and heat treat is better because they're using Magna Cut and they're running it 63, 64. Now they weren't before, but now they are. And
Right.
what the Deca's or sorry, the bug out's S30V, right?
The bug out's S30V and the bailout's M4. My Deca is CPM 20 CV.
Oh, okay. So mine's the Magna Cut. So I do think
Uh,
they're doing a better job with the Magna Cut than the 20 CV. But
hmm.
Benchmade does do a really good job with their S30V. I got to give them credit, man. Their S30V is amazing.
True, but for me, the functionality, hold on, let me grab a filter for this thing. For me, the functionality of my actual bailout just is superior to any of my bug outs. The bug outs, I know they got the Grivery scales and people cream themselves for it and stuff like that, but for me, they just feel, other than them functioning really, really well, those scales with the combination, they feel a little cheap, if that
That's what
makes
I
sense. I don't
feel
know if
like
that.
too. That's why I don't like them. I feel like they feel cheap. It feels too light for me. See, you know the problems that you were having with your Deca? I had those same problems with my bug out. It took me, I don't know, it took me a couple months, if not longer than that. Like I did multiple videos, like trying to fix it, trying to make it better. Finally, now it's good, but now it's old and it's starting to get play. But I only have one, so you probably have multiples, don't you?
Yeah, I got, unfortunately, man. I'm a Benchmade sheep right here in this drawer. I got, let me see, man. So I got, do I have any bug outs up here? No. So I got, I think I have 5 bug outs, to be honest with you. I have these
Damn.
two, the minis. I have a couple of the minis. I like the Stormtrooper. The action is still fantastic. Let's not get it twisted. The action is still great.
Yeah.
I have the orange and non-coated blade, the stonewash blade. I have the aluminium version, which is I think on the aluminium version, yeah, they use M390. I don't know a lot about that steel. I know it works well.
How do you like that aluminum version?
So the aluminum bug out and the aluminum bailout are my favorite feeling. These are my two favorite feeling Benchmades in the hand. Like if I had to carry them in the pocket, it would be
Yeah.
hard to go. I like the way that the aluminium on the actual bug out looks versus the bailout, but they're kind of like neck and neck. And then I have the carbon fiber. I have the carbon fiber, which is out of S90V, which
Oh,
carbon
that's
fiber is
nice.
getting a little boring to me. I think I bought it on a whim,
Do
but I
you
don't really.
prefer titanium as far as handle material goes, or what material do you prefer the most of all handle materials?
Oh, hands
Like if
down,
you could say
G10, G10. Me
G10,
personally.
G10 over
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yep,
Wow,
yep.
G10 over titanium over aluminum over everything. Huh? So I would pick my Carta over G10. However,
Hmm.
if I'm going to be hunting or something like that, then I'm probably going to want either one or two, either one G10 or polished my Carta. That way it doesn't stain as easily. But I love my Carta. But my favorite would be titanium. I just love the way it can be machined. I love the texture. I love
Hmm.
the durability and the strength. And, I also like, like we talked about before, I love the thought of my knives using materials that were meant to go to the moon.
And I can understand that. I only own a few knives that are titanium. I have this. This is why I had a bad experience with this knife here. I had the V9s Poseidon, and this thing came down on my finger. I think it was couple years ago. This is using. I don't even, what blade still is this using?
I've
Oh,
never even seen it.
154 CM. I love the way the scales look,
It
but
looks
this
good.
is, yeah, it's made of titanium. And then I have a bunch of gravity knives from what's the name of that
Yeah.
Daily Carry Co.
Oh,
Not
okay.
from
Yeah, yeah,
Daily
yeah.
Carry Co. And they're made of, I think their scales are titanium, which I don't ever carry. These are freaking talking points,
Yeah.
Palmer says M390 is the same as 20 CV basically.
Yep.
So I guess maybe they're not the same company, maybe, I don't know. But so
And
this
no,
one's
yeah, they're
okay.
different countries. 204P, 20 CV, and M390 are the same compositions as far as steels, but they're just made in different countries.
Gotcha, gotcha. I need more titanium. I shit on it so much, mainly because it's just not really. I don't know. It just doesn't really get the job done for me as much as I perceive that it would. I know a lot of folks have it. Maybe I need to get a better experience with it, and I won't shit on it so often. But I mean, why do you like titanium so much? Is it just because, other than the fact that it feels good, but does it feel like lighter? Does it feel like the few I have, they
So
feel like a nuisance. I don't know.
it's stronger and lighter than steel. At least most steels. There's some steels that are stronger, but usually it's stronger, and then it has better memory. So, like if you're gonna do a lock bar, titanium has a
Yeah.
better memory, meaning it will keep going back to the same position over and over longer than steel. Another thing is you can anodize it, and then I really like that there's non-magnetic, it's corrosion proof. You can't rust it. The only thing you can do is anodize it. So for all those reasons, I guess, and I like the thought, like I said, of a superior material, even though, it's not like I'm, gonna be, I mean, some of the knives I'll do crazy shit with, but it's not like it's gonna be used for the most insane. But I like to know that, if push comes to shove, it has, the engine that you want.
To make it happen. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
see. So I think so I need to give it more of a whirl. I think in I guess that kind of brings me to like one of the first things I noticed today on knifenews.com is I saw that CRKT is turning 29 today. They reformatted their entire website for their 29th birthday. And I don't
Mhm.
know, I own a CRKT tuna, a squid. I have I think that's it from CRKT, but are they known for titanium scale knives or what?
No, they've only recently did one. I actually got it. It's a super premium knife. Very, very, very well done. Like I can't even believe it's a CRKT. It's usually they're more big box store brand, kind of like Kershaw. But Kershaw
Yep.
does have, the zero tolerance line, where CRKT doesn't really have a premium line. But recently, the past year, they've been working with Hogue. So Hogue makes knives in the USA for people that don't know. And so they've created, I think, 4 knives for CRKT so far. So they're 100% USA made. Some are using Magna Cut. I do have a couple of them, and they are really good. They're Hogue. So, but yeah, they don't usually use titanium, but they have a few models they recently came out with in titanium.
Yeah, see, I think that they are trying to really partner themselves with some new designers to not just
As they
only be
should.
known, yeah, to not just be known as the big box store. Like I feel like I can go to Tractor Supply right now and give me a case knife, a buck knife, a Kershaw, and a CRKT, and I will be happy with at least 2 out of 4 of my choices. You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
easily. I tell people on a budget. One of my buddies, he's a male nurse. He has this Griptilian that he's had for years to the point where the butterfly logo's rubbed off, and he's never sharpened it. He's like, oh, I need a new knife. I said, dude, just send it to Benchmade. They'll sharpen it.
Yep.
If you don't, or give it to me, and I'll try my best to sharpen it. And speaking of that, I'm watching you sharpen this now. So this process that you're doing now, I don't have a sharpener. Let me grab mine because my sharpener, I have the stones, but I primarily have my TS Prof Pioneer, which is what I try to
Great
just like
system.
straight up
Amazing
and down,
system.
finagle my way through. What
Mhm.
do I have loaded up on here now? 1,000. So this is what I normally use, and I would just normally clamp it to my workbench because you can screw it. I wish I had a bigger base because it topples really
They have
easily.
one. You can't. They do it. So right here, look at this. Here's mine.
Uh huh.
Shit. Oh, it's right back here. So I have mine set up with the base. So this is the Pioneer right here. I got the base, and then I
Wow.
also got these little adapters right here that help you go like this. Watch this. I can make the stone or the clamp go right together where I can do little tiny knives or big knives. So it just gives you more versatility. I always recommend getting one of the other clamps. There's a few different ones you can get, or just getting
Hmm.
the adapters. The base you don't need to get. It is kind of expensive, but it does help.
Yeah, I normally. Let me see. I think I just
You
normally take.
clamp it,
Yeah, I
right?
take a
That's
bunch
what
of.
you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They send you that green clamp right there, but I have a bunch of other ones because I do brake jobs on my, so I always have clamps laying around. But
Right.
so I just I like this thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, before I had this, shout out to Ken Onion Designed Work Sharp, and shout out to the other Work Sharp that I have. But this really, when because I normally sharpen knives, it's odd as I normally sharpen knives on Sundays when I'm sitting down watching a NASCAR race. I'll turn on a NASCAR race; they're long as hell, so I got plenty of time, and I'll sit down at my man cave table, which is like right here, right. So this is my man cave table, and it
Oh, it's nice.
faces it faces this TV here.
You got
So I
the
normally will
setup.
turn. Oh my God, I'll turn that on, and I will set up the TS Prof, and I just will just kind of just zone out, man, and just kind
Yep.
of enjoy the process.
Well, I always say that sharpening is therapeutic. It really is, man. When you start getting into it, man, it's you zone out. You can forget every problem you have and just go, work with the knife. And then in the end, the results, man, they make you feel good. To take a knife that's beat up, can't even cut paper, and now that's just whittling hair or whatever, it does make you feel good. And there's different, because with any steels and blades, the geometry and the edge geometry is everything. You can take a knife that literally cuts like crap and maybe doesn't hold an edge, really well, and actually get it to hold an edge very well and make it much sharper and cut better just by changing the edge angle. Like, there's so many things you can do to a knife, when you know how to sharpen. And yeah, I think it's definitely therapeutic.
Yeah, see, for me, I think it has become therapy. Um, it just overall, just the process. Even some, like, I have some cheaper knives that use, well, I say cheaper, they use 14C 28N steel, which for me, if it's not, I'm okay with it because I
I
sharpen my
love it.
knives.
I love it.
You know, I have this knife from Remit, which I'll show you in a second, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. But it's their Rhino, the Remit Rhino. I think that uses a 14C 28N, and I love it. I mean, it's a great. It has multiple ways to open it. It costs less than $50, and it's like
Mhm.
one of my favorite knives to use all of the freaking time, which is in here. So let me see. I need to use it more often. I made this. So I did a video that's called, if you're new to EDC, start here. So here, of course, I got the Buck 112 micarta, but the underneath that is my this Remit, and I like it because there's so many different ways to open this thing up, man. You got the push
Yeah.
button, the button lock, the thumb stud with a little bit of knurling, the flipper, and although it's not it doesn't have the best steel in the world. It just, I don't know, man. It's just a joy to use this and sharpen it. One thing I took your advice on for sharpening is I keep beater knives that I don't use very often just to practice sharpening. So I have like knives from Walmart, like the Ozark Trail from Walmart, the like a couple of like JSW knives, just a bunch of knives that I even have some counterfeit Benchmade or some clone Benchmade I keep
Mhm.
to practice sharpening. Like all these knives right here are kind of like my sacrificial sharpening knives. The
Right.
the Ozark Trail or the is this the Ozark? Yeah, the Ozark Trail from Walmart. JSWS knives. These are D2, and then a Benchmade clone of a Mini Freak, which I don't know what
Just
this steel
know
is.
that the steel is a huge determining factor of how your sharpening is going to go. Like,
Yep.
this is why I usually recommend, obviously starting with budget knives, but I usually recommend two things when you're learning to sharpen. One, thin geometry. You don't want a thick edge. You want a very thin edge because it'll go much faster. And number two, go with a reputable company that's known for doing decent heat treats. 14C28N is perfect. The reason why that's a perfect steel is, one, it's actually one of my favorite steels, especially mid-grade steels, but it is very difficult for companies to not heat treat well. Because originally it comes from AEBL steel, which was originally designed for razor blades for straight razors, and they had to be able to be heat treated on a conveyor belt. So, for mass production. Well, since these knives, especially all the knives you see in 14C are mass produced, a lot of companies, the reason why they're not doing a lot of their heat treats well is because they're mass producing it, and those steels aren't made to be mass produced and heat treated rapidly, right? So they can't get it to the right HRCs and everything because they're not heating and cooling it, at the right time. So 14C is very easy. So you're almost guaranteed that your 14C is going to be decent.
100. Yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Why I'm so okay with a 14C in the pocket, even though sometimes I mention it, some people will poo-poo that shit.
I
And
love it.
I don't. For me personally, let me see. Palmer says CRKT's premium push is interesting to me. I think it's because they can't sustain themselves making Chinese knives, but charging USA prices. So he think CRKT is known for Chinese knives at USA prices.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Um, Piranha says, I got Hogue Deca Legion, just got to go with the SIG 938 Legion. I haven't carried it, but it's great. I know Hogue is for the tactical bros. A lot of folks that carry the boomsticks and guns are big into Hogue because you can get like a Hogue, you can get a Hogue holster for your gun. A Hogue, everything Hogue. You can get a knife as well, get you a vest, everything in like one-stop shop.
$6 too. Most
Hmm.
gun companies, if they have a knife, it's usually crap. Hogue
Horrible.
and Sig Sauer is probably the exception because Sig Sauer uses Hogue. That's why.
You know what's so crazy? I was on Beretti's website, no Borelli's website the other day, and the main knives they sold were Kershaw, and then they started blowing all of them out, and now they're replacing all of them with Remington knives. I was like, who the hell did they
Oh,
OEM
yeah.
these from? I got like, Remington is just using their name, slapping it on knives, and they're
Yeah.
gonna try to plug some people for some money.
Yeah, it's
And
not
and
even their knife or design. It's just their name on it. Like Kershaw actually does their own designs. Those are their designs
mm.
in house, or they have a designer.
So they'll do their own design and maybe get a manufacturer to somebody else to do it or what?
Yeah, yeah. They use I believe so. Spyderco uses San Remnu. That's who they use
Okay.
overseas for if they go to
Hmm.
China. So they have a Chinese factory, a Japanese
Taiwan.
factory, Taiwan, and then the USA. I personally think the USA is the best. Second would be Taiwan. A lot of people like the Japanese factory, but the Taiwan does a damn good job. But so does the USA. I think that's where they're getting the best heat treatments out of. But yeah, they're finding an OEM over there to do it, and then they have their USA line, which is really cool, which I do appreciate because that's the one company that's selling us USA made knives that are good quality that aren't just like overly priced. Like you can get a USA made knife from Kershaw. One, you can get the assisted ones under $100, but if you want a manual knife, you can get them about 100. Or no, sorry, if you want an automatic knife, you can get it for like like between 115 and 150, 60 bucks, but with good steels, good materials, good everything. They have the new, which I know you know about, the new Bel Air, which is a manual
Yeah.
knife. That one's great. 155 bucks for Magna Cut and aluminum. Not bad. USA
Is
made. That's
the Bel Air trying to compete with the Deca in the bug out or what?
yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. I actually did an edge retention test on both of them. And Kershaw's Magna Cut didn't do bad. They say they're doing it between 62 and 64 HRC. They showed a test online of them hitting it to check the HRC and it came up as 64. But that was one example. And I know they probably took it out of the lineup, of, a bunch of other numbers. So, but I'm happy that they showed that. I'm happy that they're able to do that. The one I tested, I don't think it was 60. I think it was more like 62, but
Yeah.
it still did phenomenal. It cut like oh, don't quote me, but I think it was like 700 and something feet in a 1 inch section of cardboard. So I take a 1 inch section of the blade, just a 1 inch section, and that's all the cutting goes into that 1 inch section. So I'm not testing the entire blade, I'm testing just a 1 inch section of that steel. And I cut as much cardboard of the exact same cardboard that's clean, no tape, no nothing, just perfect cardboard. And I cut until it won't cut paper cleanly. It'll still cut paper, but just not cleanly. So once it gets
How
to
do
that
you
point,
how do
that's
you
sorry, go ahead.
are you is it do you get arm
Do I what?
do you get like arm fatigue?
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, you would the mostly you get, so it depends on the ergos of the knife. If the ergos are good, you're fine. But when you get a knife that doesn't have good ergonomics, it can be a nightmare, especially if the geometry's thick, so like you realize how important geometry is when you do a cut test, man. Because halfway through it, your hands are cramping up, you can't push it through anymore. Rope cutting I find is the worst. And that's what Pete from Cedric and Ada, I'm sure you know. He does the
Yeah,
rope
yeah.
cuts where he cuts ropes over and over and over and twist the sisal rope. That stuff to me, that's a nightmare to do because the way you have to grip the knife and cut down on the surface, like it gets right into your palm. I've done it like twice and I'll probably never do it again.
So for me, if I know I'm going to be cutting a lot of rope, I want a partially serrated blade. Period. That's just me personally,
Good idea.
and that kind of brings me to like the downfall of Gerber because I have a go-to partial serration, but it's an old school Gerber which you can still get, but it just kind of shows you where they've gone overall. So like here um I have a Gerber Fast Tanto Auto that I've had for years, which is made of S30V. It has the partial serration.
Mhm.
It's fully
American
automatic.
Tanto.
It's yeah, American Tonto, super aggressive. But if I know I got a lot of stuff, and I had Josh Smith sharpen this for me over Montana Knife Company recently. He sharpened the tanto part, and now it's
Okay.
razor sharp. It works fantastic. And but I picked up last year the Gerber Assert. This is their competition to the Bug Out. This thing has a telescoping pivot. Doesn't have enough. It doesn't have enough jipping or rigidity on the freaking pivot. Kind of gets on my nerves. But this is now their version of S30V, all American made Gerber, but it's just not really kind of getting the job done for me. I guess it's because the D10 was just so stiff. It's getting better. I've opened it almost 300 times, so it's getting a lot better. But
Do you know who's making it?
I don't know who makes. I know it's made in America. I don't know who makes it. It's Gerber.
One of
But
Pogue's doing it.
and I have a serrated bug out, which is hard to find. I'll use this for rope. I have a partial serrated bug out, but I'll take this for if I know I'm going to be out in the field or whatever. I'll do something like that as well. So it's just kind of, oh my God, are you sharpening for channel members or for yourself or what?
I'm just sharpening the sharpener right now.
Is that paper towels?
I did a live sharpening for the members yesterday. I wound up kicking everybody out by accident. I sat there for 15 minutes talking to myself. Then I realized that nobody was in there with me. Look at that. S cuts through paper towel. So this is the best way to test your edges on paper towel. The reason why. So paper is a good way to check and make sure you don't have any burrs or hang-ups or anything like that. So the paper test is a good test too. So I'm not excluding that. But in order for your edge to cut paper towel, it has to not be too toothy, but it has to have enough tooth. So if it's too slick, it won't bite. If it's too toothy, it'll snag the fibers. So you have to have the right level of sharpness, bite, and everything. And that is what makes a high quality edge. So there's two things. There's sharpness and then bite. The sharpness is like the edge angle. You know how low you put the angle, and how keen the apex is. And that's going to be a result in how well you remove the burr. But then the bite is the grit pattern you stop at with 600 grit, 1200 grit. So that bite is what keeps you into the cut and stops from slipping out. So a dangerous knife is a knife that might be sharp, but it has no bite. So what will happen is you ever tried to cut a strap or something, you just slip right off of it, or a rope, because there's no bite. And so you want an edge that has bite. So as soon as you go to start a cut, it instantly bites into the materials and starts the cut. So, and that's what I mean about the paper towel is that like with paper, you can cut cleanly through paper and the knife not have any bite, but not with paper towel. Paper towel, it has to have both. It has to have the sharpness and the bite, but not too much bite. Too much bite will snap.
If Mrs. X sees me in the garage with a roll of paper towels and we got 5 kids,
dude, I get those comments.
Yeah, I probably won't. I probably won't get vagina for the remainder of the month. Like, what are you wasting my paper towels for?
I literally get those comments. People will literally tell me like they leave the most hilarious comments about my paper towels. Now I'm sitting here sharpening, so I'm using them. People don't realize I'm setting them down next to me. I'm still going to use them, but it's such a good indicator of sharpness. So it's difficult not to do once you understand, because like paper, I get the same shit for paper. I was getting comments because I was cutting paper that didn't have any writing on it. Like it was just clean paper. And it's like, to me, it's like, what do you care? This is why I bought the paper. Whether I write on it and throw it in the garbage or cut it and throw it in the garbage, it's still my paper.
It belongs to you. So I mean, like, who cares what you're going to do with
it? And sometimes I use magazines and stuff, but one time, so I wrote a thing on the book or on the piece of paper. I wrote like a note so people would read it. It was hilarious. I think it was like my plan to take over the world or something.
Yeah, a lot of people just sometimes listen. The internet is fun. The internet never forgets. The internet just loves to make you feel good. And trolling is just fun. Hold on, wait. Palmer says he's going to be going to the Spyderco USA factory soon. And that actually sounds pretty freaking interesting. That sounds freaking interesting.
Yeah, I bet you that'd be a good time.
Piranha says SIG is the only knife company I will buy. Is the only knife I will buy from a gun manufacturer. Everyone else is trash, such as Smith and Wesson. They sell tons of knives, because you get a lot of people who get on Amazon and say pocket knife, and then they throw it in the cart and check out.
Yep. And the problem with that is that Smith and Wesson isn't designing, making, or anything. They have nothing to do with that knife aside from their name going on it. Those same knives can be found in probably 20 different manufacturers. Like
Yeah, like I'm
what is it
bunch of them
called?
right here.
MTech and stuff like that. Yep. I
440C,
used to buy them for
440A.
construction. I've probably
Yeah.
probably bought 20 of them in my life for construction because it was a quick buy. I'd go into AutoZone, they'd be sitting right there next to the register, grab one for 12, $15, and I had a pocket knife for the week. But
You think you can have a full O'Reilly's or AutoZone or Advanced Auto Part EDC for 2 weeks and be happy with your choices?
I don't think I could be happy with the knife choice, but I think I could make do for sure. One thing I do think that they will have is they will definitely have some cool keychain flashlights, probably little things that might be good for essentials. But I do what I want to do, and this would be awesome if you did it too. Maybe you have done it, I don't know. I want to go to a good antique shop and try to put together a
Mm,
vintage EDC. I had
yeah.
one nearby. We had the biggest antique place I've ever seen in my life. This place was like a mall, and they had everything. They had tons of knives, tons of everything related to blades. And I don't know why, but they shut down. Like literally, I was planning to go like a month ago, and they're closed down. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to find a
I don't
different
know if
one.
I think there's antique malls near me. I know there's plenty of pawn shops near me, but that would actually be something interesting. Could I? Because I've done like a full get home back from Tractor Supply because I got people that live nowhere near Walmarts and stuff like that. One of my buddies, my hunting property, the only store they have nearby is a Piggly Wiggly and a Tractor Supply. So I showed what you can put together from Tractor Supply.
Yeah,
I've done Harbor Freight, but yeah, to think about that type of stuff as well, because if you put together a vintage or antique EDC, it's kind of like, what's the story behind this? Who had it first? Why is
yeah,
it here now? That would all be some interesting stuff versus always the new glitz and glamoury stuff. And I think that a lot of times, especially of us running EDC channels, a lot of folks just think that we're just running out buying most of the stuff. At least for I can speak for myself, is sent to us, sent to me, and I may or may not test it. I may or may not use it. So whenever I find out something has a little bit of heritage or story behind it, like someone used it in the past, it normally gets my attention a little bit more versus just all the new shit that's being sent my way.
well, I
So
also like the thought of if it's got a nice patina on it, keeping that
yeah.
patina, letting it be old. But then, like, let's say it's a little too much, right? Well, then you can
Mm.
clean it up, and it's not going to come back to new, but you can clean it up, polish like, say if it's a case with bone, you could polish the bone, polish the bolsters, and then it'll still have a patina and an age to it, but it'll be clean and clean looking. It won't look like it's about to break. But I seen a video the other day. This guy has a channel, an EDC channel or a knife channel where he does all different types of videos. But this particular video was he went to a garage sale, bought a $5 case knife with bone and I don't know, nickel bolsters, and he restored it. So he sat there and cleaned it all up, worked on it, and he's basically saying it went from a $5 knife to a $400 knife. That video got like 160,000 views in like 10 days, and he's only got like a couple thousand followers.
See,
So that just
because it's
shows you
such a
people want to see that stuff.
I mean, come on now. Look at the story of Toy Story 2. I don't know if you know the OG story of Toy Story 2, but Woody makes himself accidentally to the yard sale, and then he gets stolen from the yard sale by that villain that was in the chicken suit. I mean,
Uh-huh.
like people love a good story that starts at a fucking yard sale. Like people, it's something that's liked. I understand that, but I
Or
personally love a state.
pawn shops too, I think.
Yeah,
Antique
pawn
shops, same
shops.
kind of concept.
I think that so. My favorite is probably estate sales. There's so
Oh
much shit
yeah.
in this man cave that came from estate sales because the pricing is controlled by the estate company. They don't have any emotion to the items. You walk in, you pay for it, you walk out. Yard sales, you got to haggle, and people are like having all these feelings behind it and all that. I like going to estate sales. It's just a couple of broads sitting behind a table, and they normally will sell you the price is the price. And I normally like grabbing stuff like that because it's just kind of like in and out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sometimes I like the garage sales because in many cases they're ready to sell. And I have found things that are way more valuable than what they're selling it for. And I just know it. So I buy it. Right. And I wound up getting addicted to it for a while because I found some gems. Like I found a solid gold at garage sales. I found just tons of stuff, great antiques, great knives. And even like even some like high quality leather boots that are like really good quality that are, you know, probably $400-500, but they're selling them for $20, $10 or something because they don't really know, they don't really care,
What
you
they
know.
got?
They're just trying.
Yep.
What's that?
And then they happen to be your size. Hold on, let's see. Guys, put in chat with some good finds you guys found at estate sales or pawn shops or yard sales. Let's see. EDC for fun says people are hating on the paper towel ballers. Yes, they're hating because their knives can't do that. Stay Angry Lightning says, I lost the tweezers on my Leatherman Free T4. Listen, I love the Leatherman Free T4. I never used the tweezers on that though. That's a made in America Leatherman that doesn't have pliers. So he has one of these right here, which is it's kind of like my go-to for when I'm working. You know, just it has basically everything that you kind of need, but it does have tweezers in it, which are easily to accidentally leave somewhere. I have a couple of these laying around, so I like these a lot. But when I got a lot of shit to do, I always want to have a pair of pliers on my body as well.
Yeah, I got the
Samson Beat
Leatherman
Army.
3. Mine doesn't have pliers on it though. Mine, I think, is the K3 or what. I forget how they do
Oh, the
it, but
K2. Yeah,
something.
the
Yeah, maybe it's
K2.
the K2. Yeah. But no, it's a cool multi tool, but it doesn't have pliers on it. I need to get a good set with pliers.
Right.
I always
Let's
had them, but
see.
I just don't right now.
Ron says, "Hey guys, what's going on? How's your day going? It's going pretty good, man. Appreciate you kicking the door in." And the Palmer says, "My uncle's an estate attorney, so I get all the good stuff before it makes it to the liquidators. There's a Leatherman
I
core and a Leatherman core for $70 at my local pawn shop. Those old Leathermans from the 70s, 80s, 90s, even early 2000s that are discontinued. Like, I hope Leatherman kind of brings those back around. They did that with the Leatherman Squirt, the Leatherman Juice, where they'll discontinue something, let it sit for a while, and then come back with another variation of it. And I don't know. I think they always have some hitters. I don't know why they decide when they're gonna not carry something for a while. It kind of throws me off. Let's see here. Pro for $125 at a garage sale. Work Sharp Pro. Which one is that?
The workshop. So there's the pro professional. It's this one right here.
Oh, that one. Okay, I got you. I
So
got you.
this
You
one's
know
the
what?
better system. I like it.
I
Okay.
They offered to send me one of those, but I think you can't use anyone else's stones in there, right? You got to use theirs.
That's the problem. However, check this out. Hapstone. I thought it was right here. So you can get this stone holder right here, an aftermarket
Yeah.
stone holder from Hapstone, and then you can use any stones you want. And that's what I
Right.
recommend if you're going to get the work sharp. Eventually, you don't have to get it right away because you have everything you need right away. But eventually, when your stones start wearing out, buy this so that you can buy any stones you want. And you can get even better quality stones.
Yeah, I guess for me, I don't know. I lean towards the TS prop because you don't have to make any additional purchase. You
Yeah.
know, just because of, and the prices are the Pioneer and that Pro, the Precision Pro are I think are comparable. I think the Pioneer is like $200-300 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's
And
like $100 more, but for the $100 more, you're getting the universal stone holder. You're getting a solid metal system, right?
Mhm.
That's just
Yep.
it's more precision built, like hands down. Nobody would ever disagree with that. You know, like it's just one half plastic, half metal, one solid metal that's CNC machined for the parts to fit perfectly. So
Yep.
yeah, the TS Pros, man, they're pretty much unbeatable when it comes to sharpening devices.
So somebody in chat says Spyderco or Benchmade. For me, it's Spyderco because of the pricing's not going out of this world, and just the bang for your buck is there.
Yep.
Um,
Heat treat too.
so heat treat, yeah. Hard Gender says, "What's the best beginner knife?" I need to know your budget because I don't know. I don't know what your budget is to say beginner
I would
knife.
say I would say Civivi or Sencut because
Yes.
well, if you're in the range, like it depends, like he said, how much you want to spend. But if you're in the $75 and between $40 and $75, Cut or Civivi, it's the same company. One's just more the budget line, one's the mid-grade line. It's
Yep.
from We Knife Co. But yeah, they do good quality heat treatments on their mid-grade steels, great geometry, and like here's one right here. They do a
Hmm.
lot of hollow grinds. Their build quality is phenomenal. Their action's good. They're just all around, in my opinion, the best budget knife you could probably buy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The only thing I would say, so yeah, you're right. Civivi, Cut, We Knife has a good, better, best system. You know, good being Cut, better, Civivi, and best We Knife. I think that I recommend to a lot of folks. I will recommend the Praxis, but here's a
Yeah.
Praxis and here's a Kubi. Here's a Praxis and a Kubi Nova next
Yep.
to one another, almost
Both are great.
indistinguishable. And
Yep.
I love the Kubi Nova a little bit more. I like the Praxis. I mean, $29 and you're good to go. But the mini Praxis has a better steel than the full size. This is an 8 CRV, 18 MO, 9
A
CRV,
9
18
CR. I think
MOV
it's 9
steel.
CR. I think it's 9
Yeah,
CR. Yeah.
where you can come and get the Nova, which I really enjoy. They're both flippers. They're both big. I oftentimes would just kind of let folks know, unless you need that lanyard hole, I would just say get the Kubi Nova or get maybe the Civivi Elementum or something from Cut as well. But it just really depends on what your budget is. And I always tell people, if for whatever item in EDC, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what it is, a watch, a knife, or whatever. I just recommend you don't spend more than 2 hours of your pay on that item, and just to see if you like it. So if you make $25 an hour, don't spend more than $50 on a knife, and then that way you can, if you hate it, the most you can say is like, I wasted 2 hours of my life versus, spending all sorts of money for something that you're not going to use.
I would say if you are wanting to spend some more money, just be prepared or plan to return it. Like if you go
Yeah.
to Amazon or go to Blade HQ or whatever, they'll give you your money right back. Just don't do anything to it. Just open and close it. See if it's your style. I'm not recommending people to do that. I'm saying like if
Yeah.
you're on a tight budget and you're about to spend $150 and you're scared to do it and you don't want to lose that money and you get a shitty knife, just send it back. That's what I'm trying to
Right.
say.
Harjinder says, what knife was that? It's called the Kubi Nova, Kubey Nova,
Great.
Nova. Yeah, so it's a great knife. You can also Remit make some great knives as well. You got a lot of options. Like there's so many companies that are micro brands that are not brand names that are making great knives. Speaking of like Benchmade from earlier, Benchmade just came out with the gold class full immunity. I've noticed that when Benchmade has a knife that they think is a banger, they do a lot of things to it. So for instance, in
Yep.
2017, the Bug Out came out full size, $145. You can buy it pre-sale for $115, right?
Mhm.
And it did so well that in 2019 they came out with the mini Bug Out. And 2020 they came out with the aluminium, and then so they flavor it up. The full immunity must have did really good because
Well,
now
remember
it's
they
coming
used to
out
have
gold class.
the custom shop. Remember that?
Yeah, yep. They
And
still
so
do
you could
custom,
literally,
but
yep. Yeah, go ahead.
but they still have the custom. They just don't push it as hard.
But yeah, that used to be awesome where you could just build your own Benchmade. But yeah, they kind of taken over something that Spyderco always did, where they make a model that's good, and if people love it, they make basically special editions. You know, this steel with this colored G10 or whatever. The knife is still the same knife, just different materials. And it's a good sales tactic for sure, because there's a lot of people like myself who want specific materials and will pay, different money for different materials. However, some Benchmade's starting to get up there, man. They're starting to ask crazy prices for some of their stuff. Like even some of their gold class stuff. I understand it's gold class. I understand it's collectible, but there's some like I can't figure out where they're getting the price from.
So I bought a gold class Benchmade Tengu tool, whatever, the flipper that's non-locking. One side is like utility knife, the other side is a pry bar. And I bought it for retail on base tax free. I think I spent $330. I held on to it for a couple years. I just sold it for $520 in
Dang,
December. So it's
nice.
like people still want these things,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't,
for sure.
So I don't have a big, you know. So let me see. Scott says I'm a fixed blade guy. I love my Kubi Sky Marta. It's slice C blade for a fixed blade. Yeah, I like fixed blade every now and again. It just really depends on what I got going on.
Check this out.
Um,
I haven't deburred this yet, so right now it has my final burr. But just to
yeah,
show people, like, so when you have a burr,
you see
okay,
how?
not
Yeah, I
going to
see what
cut,
you.
right? Now watch
Yep.
this. Just a couple little passes. So the way you remove a burr is you go from tip to heel, not heel to tip. So you do like stropping. And you
Yeah.
do it very gentle, no pressure at all, because all you're doing is snagging the burr to the stone. You're not trying to change your scratch pattern, your bite. You're not trying to sharpen or do anything but remove the burr. So you just do very gentle reverse passes. And then before you're done, do a couple gentle forward passes, no pressure at all. And like right now, I can already feel my burr is gone. So right now, without even stropping, look at that. Now it's
Oh my God.
dropped. But it shows you, because that's one problem that people have with sharpening is understanding the burr development and the reason behind it, and why you want to make sure you develop it. Look at that.
So, so my question is like, what is the purpose of stropping? And what's the purpose of stropping and honing in between sharpenings and stuff like that?
So stropping is you use it for two different things. One, when you're done sharpening and you've done your burr removal, there'll be a little tiny bit of flakes of steel from the burr still left over. And some steels more than others, just depends on the heat treatment and the steel. So the strop will help remove the rest of the burr. You don't want to take the burr off with the strop, but you want to just clean the rest of it off. Then the next thing is edge maintenance. So after you've already sharpened your knife and say it's a week or two later or a few days later and you've been using your knife, you want to touch it up on the strop, because a strop holds abrasive. So you get a compound and you just put it on a leather, and then like this one's diamond. So the whole surface is all microscopic diamonds. Now, so it's the leather's not what's doing anything, it's the abrasive. So now when I do my stropping passes, it's going to add little tiny microscopic serrations to my apex to make it sharper, and it'll straighten out anything that's maybe bent or whatever. Then honing is when stropping doesn't work. So say you're stropping, it's not doing anything, then you go to a honing stone. And a honing stone is where you're basically just touching up the edge, bringing back the bite, straightening it out so that you can get it to last longer without sharpening again. If honing doesn't work, it's time to sharpen.
To
That's basically
resharpen
how it goes.
overall.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. I
I'll
know.
hone knives back over and over and over and over, man. Like they'll
That's
be
a good
like,
point. I know what they're for, but it's hard for me to explain. Like right now, I have two of my favorite fixies are coming from Montana Knife Company. It's the Blackfoot, and then I have the Sheepfoot. They're the same, basically the same knife. Just one is paracord wrapped and one is
yeah.
G10. Where this one I use way more, has a bunch of gunk on it and tape on it. And even though and they're both Magna Cut, but I would for this one it might be ready for a home. This one's barely been used and it's ready, it's good to go. So I know folks are
What
talking about their fixies and stuff like that,
What do
but
you
I
think
like
about the paracord wrapped handles?
I like
You
the
like them?
paracord wrapped handle for a couple of reasons. When your
Okay.
hands are cold, or if
Okay.
you're wearing gloves, the paracord makes it so that you still have dexterity and you can actually still hold on to the blade. Even
Okay.
G10, when your fingers are cold, it's sometimes hard to hold on to G10. And but because paracord doesn't get cold, if that makes sense, you can
Yeah.
grab a quote unquote cold knife and still be able to use it, and your fingers won't feel weird, right? Even
Yeah.
G10, my cardi, I don't like carrying my cardi when I hunt because I don't want to get blood on it. But that's the same issue I have with paracord, is getting blood on it, because I don't know how to rewrap this shit. This is wrapped from factory. So if and when I get blood on it, I got to either clean it or send it in for them to rewrap it, because it is full tank. So that's the
Yeah.
only big issue with carrying stuff like that. But what
Yeah.
do you
So
think about the paracord wrap?
I never thought about what you just said. I never even considered that. I
Yeah.
typically don't like it for the very reason of that it feels painful in the hand to me when I go to cut it or use with it. I one time had
Yeah.
a survival axe, and it had that around the handle. I couldn't even chop anything with it because it was so painful to use. And then with knives, like I understand knives are different. You're not chopping with it.
Yeah,
So I could see some knives being okay, but typically I'd prefer scales.
yeah. But if it's an axe or a hatchet, I just want wood, like
Yeah.
or something like that. S
Hmm.
Wing obviously makes some good shit, but
Yeah.
I don't want paracord or anything like that. Especially if I'm going to be using
Eastwood
it as a
hammer right
maul.
there.
Yeah, you can use the back of this as a maul and hit items as well. So that's a big thing, is like just knowing the flexibility of the item.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the so I don't want to shit on their knives, but I had Botsteed. So Botsteed, they sent me a
Actually, what
knife
this is
that I
right here. That's funny you said
see.
that.
It's so crazy because I've been looking at the Botsteed the kitchen cutlery,
They're
but they
good.
sent me their Thunderbird, and I put it up here because I like the way it looks, but I'm not a big fan of the way it feels in the hand.
Yep.
And it's kind of like it has G10 scales, and it's rocking M390, but it just feels a
Yep.
little bit thin in the hand. It has a lot of ways to open it. You got the thumb hole, front flipper, back flipper, the button lock. It's actually pretty reasonably priced. Like I think MSRP 135, but you can get it on sale for like 115. It's
Yeah,
an
which is pretty
interesting
good for
knife,
M390.
but the geometry in the hand is when it kind of starts to fall apart,
Yep.
especially when you compare it with something, you know,
That's
like
actually comfortable.
like one of my favorite knives to carry hands down is probably the TRM Shadow, because it is extremely
Oh,
comfortable
yeah.
to carry
Yes, it
in the
is.
hand. Just
It to
overall,
me,
it's just so big.
that one reminds me of the Benchmade Griptilian a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
the TRM. I love them both. I think both of them are very ergonomic. The knife I was just sharpening, this
Hmm.
is the Quiet Carry LC Drift, which it's LC 200N steel, so it's basically a corrosion proof steel. And so this whole knife is basically corrosion proof, by the way.
Hmm.
It's like every material on here is not, you really can't corrode. LC200N, technically, if you left it under salt water for years, it would start, obviously rusting, but it's about as good as you can get as far as,
Who's but the
steels.
only
What?
so Quiet Carry? I thought the
That's
only
amazing.
folks using that right now was Spyderco. I guess somebody else is.
Quiet Carry's using it, just like Quiet Carry also is well known for using Vanex, which is arguably the best steel you could get on a knife as far as well-roundedness. So it has the most corrosion resistance you can get on any steel. Even it's the same as LC200N, but it has edge retention like 20 CV, and it has good toughness. So, but it's also a very expensive steel though, and a lot
What
of
do you
companies
think
don't use
about?
it for that reason.
Have you heard of a company called? I think it's called Terrain 365 or
Oh yeah,
uh
yeah. I got some of their knives. Yeah.
so yeah, I saw him at Blade, Texas, and he offered to send me a knife, and I didn't know anything because it's not carbon steel, it's not stainless steel. He says not steel at all. You can leave it in the bottom of the ocean and go pick it up, and but he said you can't bang on it, but it's slicey, and he gave me a good explainer, but I'm still a little confused. Like, so if it's not carbon steel, it's not stainless steel. Like, what is it? Like,
It's like
I don't know how
it's
to.
it's cobalt and I think it's like a mixture of titanium and cobalt or something like that.
Uh huh.
There's another company doing sintered titanium, which is some sort of ceramic titanium mix. I did an edge retention test on the Terrain 365 Terravantium, and it did, in my opinion, this is the result I got. It got about the same edge retention as what you'll get from from good 14C28N. However, the cut test, it's very hard to compare the two because Terravantium, what happens is you want to put a toothy edge on it, and as you cut, it gets toothier and toothier and toothier. So it's the sharpness is the standard is different. So like on 14C, I would cut until it stops cleanly cutting paper. Terravantium, it wouldn't be that way because the edge you want so aggressive that maybe it's not going to cut paper cleanly, but it'll cut a rope really good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the standards are just different. Don't get me wrong, it gets very sharp, but as far as edge retention goes, it's hard to compare to regular steels because it gets toothier as you cut stuff, and regular steels get less toothy as you cut stuff.
It
If
was
that makes
hard
sense.
because he was explaining that to me, how toothy it gets the more you cut stuff.
Yep.
It was hard for me to connect the pricing because I don't have a direct so for a living, I audit contracts for a living. So for me, I've been auditing contracts and writing contracts since I was in the Marines. So I know how to determine when a price is fair and reasonable, even if it's high. So when you start telling me shit I've never heard of, I couldn't determine if his pricing made sense or if it was fair. And because I was
Yeah.
like, man, these prices are, I don't know, have a comparison. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh no, these are good, and people bought them in 2021 and they still love them. I'm like, okay, great. I bought my truck in 2017 and I paid too much for it and I still love it. That doesn't mean it was fair.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So with my opinion on it, the problem is like you said before, how it's not good for impact, which I don't give a shit
Hmm.
about the impact, but the problem is the toughness. So it's they need to do it thick. So it kind of takes away the thought of a slicey knife because the geometry is so thick, they need it that thick, supposedly. Um, so as far as I know, I haven't seen any where they've done it very thin, and I'm guessing there's a reason behind that. So I
Yeah.
would prefer a good steel over it for that reason. However, if you're doing underwater diving, underwater cutting, or saltwater stuff, things like that, then yeah, it's probably perfect for you. But you could also go with Van Axe or LC200N.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an underwater welder, when are you cutting shit? I mean, those guys are already making tons of money anyway. But the that's just interesting. I don't know, man. I there's so many companies that are micro brands that I see blowing up soon. My number one company, I don't know if you've heard of them, but I see them blowing up. In my opinion, the pricing is a little out there, but Dead Reckon Knives. Have you seen their stuff?
I've seen them, but I don't think I've tried any yet.
Just they seem like they're really trying to they are going from micro brand to production really fast because they have the capital, and I think that's going to make it so I think a lot of issue with a lot of micro brands is that it's one or two guys in the garage or in a warehouse making the stuff,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
these guys have the capital to make 1,000 to 2,000 knives in 6 months, where some people can't do that. And the
Right.
knives were just they only have all titanium. I said I need some composite materials. I need some my card. For me personally, everything can't be titanium. And
Yeah.
then once you do that, you'll get my attention. But they
Yep.
want to make high quality button locks. That's their goal.
So I think that's awesome. I think the one, it's not really a problem, but I think companies that are using button locks should start looking into the lock face geometry of them. The best ones I've seen are the ones that use a compression lock, like Spyderco with just a button
Yeah.
attached. Those are the best in my opinion. There's a couple other ones that are good that use like a liner system, but the regular plunge one, they're hit or miss. Some of them do an incredible job. Like some of them I could baton with right now. And then other ones, you just give them a light smack and they'll fail because they like I said, they have to get that lock face geometry down. So as long as they get that down, they'll do fine. But I have seen a lot of companies miss the ball on the button locks, or they have like, I think there's just a higher failure rate. Like say if 10% is
Overall.
what's acceptable, it's probably 20% with those. But have you ever tried American Blade Works?
So they reached out to me.
Oh,
American Blade Works as well. Also, so two companies that reached out to me recently was American Blade Works and Auxiliary Manufacturing, I think is what it's called.
yep.
And I just haven't done any. I haven't. I've touched. I touched Ox Manufacturing at Blade, Texas. American Blade Works. I've never nothing at all.
Well, let me just say something about that guy. So that guy's one man. He's one man, one shop, makes 100% USA made knives, and he is doing his best job trying to do good heat treatments. If you ever have an issue, which you might, because he is only one guy, he's one guy. So you can call him, you can get him on the phone, you can talk to him easily. There's no questions asked. He will take care of whatever happens. He'll even give you your money back
Mm.
if that's the case. But the guy is an awesome guy, man. He's such a good dude, and his products are good. You can see his products getting better and better and better every year. You see his skill getting better, and that guy is going places. I can promise you that. He's doing
So
some great work. I have a couple of his knives, and he even started doing magnet cut at 63, 64, 64, 65 HRC. So he's doing good shit.
I think that see those are the companies. So Palmer says Dead Reckons pricings are high because all they use all their internals are USA made as well. Wait, no, integrals are
Yeah,
USA made as
integrals are
well.
going to cost more.
Okay, that makes sense. Croissant says, I love your music, Snoop. Pound Sand, my guy. It says, let's see, Scott says, I agree with X on gravity knives. It's cool to a talking piece, but not something you would carry every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the gravity knives, but not, a lot of times I forget that they're gravity knives, and they don't, unlike an OTF. OTF have like a kind of, a lot of OTF will have a safety to where if you do a deployment, it knows that you didn't mean to deploy it, and it won't go out.
Mhm.
Gravity knives are not like that. So like if I take this knife here and I accidentally deploy it, it kind of keeps itself from deploying and
You
puncturing
should stop.
through.
Yeah.
Gravity knives aren't doing that. There, if you deploy it, it's going out, and it's a bad day for you. So that's why I just don't carry them, because I don't want to freaking one of my kids to accidentally deploy it.
So
And
I do think the Riet EXO, see that one has a lock on it, and
mhm.
also like when it's opened and it's locked, there's no pressure on the lock. Like say
Okay,
this knife right here, it's a liner lock. If I put pressure on the spine, there's pressure on the
yeah,
lock. With the Riet EXO, there's no pressure on the lock. It's all on the frame, so it does make it incredibly strong. But yeah, if that lock disengages in your pocket, that blade's gonna slide out in your pocket. Now, this
yeah, and
is
I
the
don't,
type of gravity knives I think are great for EDC right here. So this is the Elementum button lock.
yeah,
So what it is it's a gravity knife where you just push a button and you see how it's
and
going
boom,
like this. You can swing it open and you just let it lock. So now it's locked. It's locked open and closed. So and you can hear the lock. The lock's nice. This I love the blade shape. I love the profile of this spear point blade. Most of them come with deep hollow grinds. This one's a premium one, so it's 20 CV. So they don't put the hollow grind on there. But the other ones, all the other ones have a deep hollow grind. Perfect ergonomics. To me, in my opinion, this is like a perfect knife for EDC. So that would be one gravity knife I would recommend for everyday carry purposes.
what is a okay? So I know Civivi. So my mom just bought a Civivi Element. It's her first knife she bought. She bought a Civivi Elementum version 1. She
Perfect.
wanted the flipper. Uh,
Yeah.
the liner lock, all that stuff. Um, but what would that? What is a premium button lock cost for Civivi? Would that have like $80, $100, or what?
No, this one was like 200 or something, but it's titanium and 20 CV. They don't even make this anymore. This was an exclusive. What you can do is you can get this and for like the regular one for $65 and then get the titanium scales that from Blade HQ for I don't know $60 or something.
Yeah,
If you want that, if you want the titanium scales. So you can upgrade them, just like kind of like the regular Elementum, like the one your mom has. They have so many options, like
tons. She got
tons
the
of
copper one.
options.
Yeah, she got
Yeah.
copper, and I was like, your first knife, you didn't get G10, or she watches my channel. She was like, well,
Yeah.
I just like the way copper smells. I was like, all right, well,
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna judge you.
It'll age with her. It'll look good after
Yeah,
a long
exactly.
time. You know?
It's gonna patina well. It's gonna, and technically they're antimicrobial, so
Yeah.
they won't carry as much germs, and
Yep.
she cares about that type of crap. I don't know, man. I think that there's just so many bangers that one thing that I've noticed is that O Knife. I don't know if you got any knives from them yet,
Oh
but a
yeah.
lot of their stuff is OEM by Kaiser, and at least what they told me. I don't know if that's
Yep.
true. Um,
Yep.
but they're trying to penetrate. They've sent me some stuff, and they're good talking pieces. Some of their stuff is a little chunky, but I don't know how I feel about them yet. I haven't really recommended O Knife yet, but I think they're trying to penetrate the market. Olight is
So
just
what
they're expanding everywhere.
I like so Olight as far as the Olight the company because it's the same thing. It's Olight and O Knife. I like the company. I think they do great products. I think Kaiser does great work, so their knives are good. The
Yep.
only problem I have with them is that because I've worked with them a lot and you guys have seen it on the channel where I'm talking about Olight's doing another sale, right? And I'm telling
Yep.
you guys about the sale. So I don't mind doing that for them, but lately I've had to deny because they want to do one like every month or two. So what it does is it hurts the ability for your affiliate links to even work good because nobody's going to buy them unless they're on sale because you go on sale every 30 days. So it
Yes.
makes
Yep.
it to where people are like, well, why would I buy it right now? I'll wait 6 weeks and it's going to be half the price. Right.
I
So,
agree with that. Yeah, that plus like I'm shielding for Olight because
yeah.
just because you gave me I should just go all out for your items or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I
I won't
think
do that.
that's the big issue.
I'm very honest no matter what. I tell all companies that I'm going to be brutally honest. So, there is a high potential that I might say some horrible things about this. But with them, like I said, they do good products. So I've never had a
Yeah,
problem
they
with their
do.
lights. I love their flashlights. I think they have a lot of great options. They're super bright. They have long lasting batteries, high quality. But it just sucks that they're constant. And it's cool that they do sales, but it just sucks that they have to only rely on that. So it's like put it this way: say in the middle of the week, I want to recommend the Olight baton, right? I'd
Yeah.
be stupid to do it because it's going to be on sale in 30 days.
Yep.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's the
So it's
crazy
like,
thing is because
now I'm not being honest. I
no,
got to tell the people, like, I wouldn't buy it right now. I would wait 30 days and buy it. So,
and so when I have other companies like Nightcore will send me stuff, Streamlight, Phoenix, they rarely do sales.
yeah,
So when I tell you like, hey, my favorite flashlight right now is, the Nightcore EDC 33,
yeah,
I'm like,
I got
buy
that one
it.
too. It's a good
And
one.
you can use my discount code, right? But that's about as good as it's gonna get. People are like, well, they stand behind it. For me, Olight feels kind of like an iPhone. Like I don't know why they feel like they need to pump out a model every 6 months, a year. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
let something breathe a little bit longer.
Yes.
And
Well, they'll
one thing
do
I
the
would say
same
is,
model, just different colors too. Like
yeah,
and it
which
just
is
gets ridiculous.
it's fair. One thing I would say is like, you know, I personally don't want to buy a phone and then 6 months later it looks drastically different because instantly you could tell I got the old shit. And so
Yeah.
one thing I tell Olight is like, if y'all do change it up, don't make it look drastically different because then instantly everyone knows you got the old shit. But it's just
Right. Right.
uh let me
Kind of like an old
see,
car radio.
100%. Like, oh my god, forever can't go wrong. Okay, so Knives Are Life says for the button lock, you can't go wrong with a Kaiser dogfish. I think I've looked at it online, but I've never touched one before.
Yeah, I got one. It's a good one. That's definitely a good one. That
Um,
one's aluminum with micro milling. Great action,
mhm.
great everything. Solid knife for sure. Good
Yeah,
choice too.
did you guys order the Peachy G9? What the hell is that?
What was it?
Peachy
EGG9?
G9. Never heard of that. But yeah, man. Hey guys, listen. I am going to. What time is it? Yeah, I guess I got to technically get back to work. But man, I appreciate you hanging out with me, man. I guess I'll get back to these emails and all the other
Yep.
type of crap.
Take it easy, guys. Later.
All right, y'all. Y'all go check out Neeves, man. I linked them in the description. We'll check y'all out. We'll talk later on.
See you later.
All right, catch you later.